So, we're finally here. Snezhnaya, days within our grasp. You know how Nodlin has at least one playable character for each tribe? And the 6 heroes of Nodlin each come from different tribes while having historical parallels to past legends. With the introduction of all the different types of Snowland Fae and their clans, I'm pretty sure Hoyoverse is setting up something similar. A brief history of the Pale Starborn details the Tsar's conquest during the Archon War to unite all Fae clans underneath his rule. The Archon War, as we know, was a bloodbath. Snezhnaya's history is no different, but in a violent race for the Divine Throne, the theme was, allegedly, unity. So, which characters can we link to which Fae clans? This video will be going over what we know about most of the characters introduced in the recent teaser and livestream, including some more speculative theories. Noi, I'm looking at you. If there's anything I've missed, or if you have any comments you'd like to add, leave them below. Otherwise, as usual, no leaks. Vodyanitsa's design has many oceanic references, making her seem very mermaid-like. Pearls, fins, and she even emerges from a seashell on the stage. Linnea has a voice line about how Vodyanitsa's singing is actually the sound of the ocean waves. She senses that her real voice potentially has the power to bewitch an entire audience and send them to their doom, which, if you know anything about the sirens in Greek mythology, it's very characteristic of them. The sirens were also mentioned in Linnea's story quest as a type of Snowland Fae. Vodyanitsa specifically is associated with the Vodyanoi, or water spirits in Slavic mythology. In Genshin, Vodyanoi is referred to as the former leader of the Daligrad, who was killed during the Archon War by the Belyid Tsar. And the Daligrad are said to be a clan of water nymphs. So, Vodyanitsa is a siren, and the sirens are most likely the Daligrad. And maybe the reason they're seen as a rare type of Fae is because they broke ties with Snezhnaya's capital after the Tsar passed away and the Tsaritsa rose to power. While she seized the lands of many Fae clans and stripped them of their noble authority, we don't actually know what came of the Daligrad beyond their disappearance. Alyosha and Valeriy in the PV are shown going toe-to-toe with each other using very similar animation styles. Alyosha summons his canine with his whistle, while Valeriy seems to transform into a bear as it grows from his shadow directly and slashes with him. Both of these characters may look human, but is this really the truth? Of the two, Alyosha is the one that is more likely to be human. He was strip marketed along with his hunting hound Tugarin, who he found abandoned out in the snow. The Volkodlak are known as Fae with animal traits. There are multiple Volkodlak clans in Snezhnaya's history, with the Daligrad or the Sirens actually being one of them. Alyosha was said in the live stream to have a secret identity. He might have a connection to the Tsirnareka clan, which are said to be Fae with a wolf-like appearance. While perhaps he himself is most likely human, the Tsirnareka clan may have acknowledged him in some way, maybe even through Tugarin, similar to Razor, Sino, and even Varka, all playable characters with spirits watching over them. After all, Tugarin does appear to act as an electro summon, jumping around the battlefield in a way that seems more like an elemental spirit than a true dog. As for Valeriy, well, my hot take is that this guy's design is a little bit basic. Thankfully, his lore won't be. The former king of all the Volkodlak clans, King Mstisław, was said to have a bear-shaped skull. Given how Valeriy is implied to transform into a bear, he may very well be a direct descendant to King Mstisław. We'll have to see just what they plan on doing with him. Odette is almost certainly human. She's the last of this little group of 3, joining Vodyanitsa and Alyosha and teaming up against the man we see throughout the trailer. While her drip market also confirmed her to be a member of the Fatui, I get the feeling she'll be likened to the roles Lenny and Lynette have. And just as they are performers who helped to introduce the region, she is a dancer, a ballerina to be precise. Odette is a direct reference to the protagonist in the ballet Swan Lake, composed by Tchaikovsky in 1875 to 1876. She is dressed in light colors, just as Odette the Swan Queen normally wears white. Curiously, when she brandishes her dagger and threatens the NPC, black feathers can be spotted in the scene around her. Many have speculated this makes her a double reference. She is both Odette and her nemesis Odile. Odile is often depicted wearing black. A fun fact about the roles of Odette and Odile: while this may not have originally been the case, it has become a long-standing tradition for Odette and Odile to be played by the same ballerina. Odile's dance in Act 3 of Swan Lake is callbacks to Odette's, but their personalities are fairly different, requiring the ballerina to perform a disparate body language to separate the two. Genshin's Odette being a two-in-one reference to both of these characters seems to be paying homage in turn to this tradition. Pulcinella is speculated to be one of the Snowland Fae, specifically a domovoi. Actually, if you go to the Wikipedia page for domovoi right now, you'll find that the description of a real-life domovoi's appearance matches what we've seen of Pulcinella pretty well. An older gnomish figure, historically a protective spirit or deity who resides within one's home. Pulcinella is basically the PR head for the Fatui. Considering the Snowland Fae are described to have silver tongues, particularly the former nobles of the Tsar's court, this checks out. There is a historical figure in Snezhnaya named Alvis that Pulcinella might connect to, the former Grand Duke of the Domovoi. He has been mentioned in a handful of places, but perhaps most importantly, he had supposedly collaborated with Rotwang at one point in time. You know, that one evil alchemist from Conria whose plans to use the power of the abyss got the Belyud Tsar killed. And he mentored a friend of the Tsaritsas, another human alchemist named Aksenia, 500 years ago. Alphys was present for the Tsar's rise to power during the Archon War and was a high-ranking strategic powerhouse within his military. It is uncertain what became of him after the Cataclysm. However, he was already described as an amiable old man back then, and I think there's a pretty good chance Alphys and Pulcinella could be the same individual. Pantalone is a mourning, widowed human chain-smoking venture capitalist potentially soon to be on his deathbed without Dottoro's life juice. Next! Vesna is confirmed to be a Vila by Tucheva in Dorman Port, one of the 6 common Fae types. She commands the Druzhna, a military faction that currently serves the Tsaritsa and once served the Tsar. Honestly, while I'm on the fence about pulling her, I have to admit that I love how she was introduced. Her baton, the fluttering wings, and the fact that the other Vila Fae stand at attention for her, all in an orderly line and respectful of her authority. Her role reminds me a lot of Cynos with the Matra and Sumeru. I wonder who it is the Druzhna are searching for, considering their loyalty to the Tsaritsa and how we've had other characters in this teaser seemingly attempt to put a stop to Project Susha. So, we're gonna have to see what happens. Danica is one of the characters we know the least about. Her color palette screams animo, but she's confirmed to have an electro linchpin. Danica is a somewhat common Slavic name. While it is derived from Venus the Morning Star, I'm not yet sure how it will tie in with her lore, especially considering how Dawnstar and Morningstar are already related to Koitar, the first angel and heavenly principles respectively. The one thing we know is that she's something along the lines of an assassin, spy, or undercover agent. Considering her family has served the Tsaritsa for generations, she must be on the side of the coin supporting Project Susha's continuance, rather than with Odette, Alyosha, and Vodyanitsa in threatening folks to vote against it. I'm gonna be real with you. Noise existence will probably double this video's length. I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer here that I'm not sure which of the following theories I'm about to talk about actually make the most sense, so maybe you guys can discuss it in the comments with no leaks, please. So, this guy rolls in here in a flash of red flames, long hair, pointed ears, a hand tucked neatly behind his back, and an extravagant outfit befitting of a noble, and talks about the eons that have passed as if he's some ancient being. Alright, so he must have been a Fae in the Tsar's noble court, right? Livestream seems to confirm he's an ancient Fae, so yes, right. There are a surprising number of similarities to Flynn's. The body language is the same. Flynn's is often seen standing in the same position with one arm tucked away. The long hair is symbolic of the Tsar's noble court, as Flynn's explains in his teapot lines that the nobles wore their hair long to reflect their social status. Furthermore, the flames with black effects are the exact same as Flynn's, just red instead of blue. To me, it even appears Noi might be shape-shifting when he enters the scene, a lot like this animation of Flynn's exiting his lantern. This makes me think, If Flynn's is the legendary Lantern Fae, then just what are you? I've been wondering for a while if Lantern Fae is not a Fae type, but rather a title. And the Arni Valkea, known in Finnish mythology as Will-o'-the-Wisps and mentioned on the gravestone Flynn set up for himself, could be the Fae type. Similar to how Xiao is a Yaksha and an Adeptus, while his title is Conqueror of Demons. What if Snezhnaya had its own legendary group like the Yaksha, made up of Arni Valkea Fae, and both Flynn's and Noi were part of it? This, essentially, is my theory on Noi's role. However, this is by far not the only theory that exists for him. People have called into question the marks on Noi's neck and his potential ties with Asmodee. They look similar to her abilities. She's red, he's red. Why couldn't he somehow connect to the Temple of Space? Honestly, his color palette fits pretty well with the area too. But similar to Albedo with the star mark, and Linnea and Vodyanitsa with their Fae marks, this could simply be a sign that Noi is now chemical creation, as most, if not all, Fae are. Some have pointed out that his name, Noi, is reminiscent of the former leader of the Daligrad, Vodyanitsa. For me personally, considering Vodyanitsa's already our connection to the Daligrad, and Vodyanitsa was killed when he was pierced through the chest, not neck. This theory doesn't make a ton of sense, but it is fun to think about. There is one final theory I initially thought of, and I've seen others talk about as well. The Tsar was said to have a brother, the King of Midsummer Oak, who he accidentally killed before the Cataclysm. While he represents the personification of winter, his brother is summer. Just like the various neo-pagan explanations for the changing of seasons, they take turns slaying one another as the year goes on, reviving and regaining power on their respective solstices only to be slain again. Going by our one playable character per Fae clan theory, we don't currently have any teased character who represents the Leshy, these forest Fae that look like trees. However, we've been shown this area which looks strikingly like autumn, and I do have a theory it links to the Tsar's brother, the King of Midsummer Oak. When summer dies, the season changes to autumn, no? And Leshy are trees, maybe even oak trees. We don't know what elements Noi will be just yet, but I suspect that it could clue us in on his Fae affiliations. If he's Pyro or Dendro, for example, he could be related to the King of Midsummer Oak in some way. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but Mitya is my personal most anticipated snezhnaya character after the teaser dropped. He was even better in 3D in the live stream. Just look at him! Long flowy robes, a scarf that moves on his own like his personal assistant, all of the magic and alchemy symbolism on his clothes. It has been mentioned a couple of times that alchemy is banned in snezhnaya. However, there are a few indicators signaling Mitya might be an alchemist himself. Mitya is seen standing in front of this big machine, what's known as a Kresnik torch. Columbina mentioned these during the Noldcry Archon quests as the heat sources that keep people warm during the cold, cold Everwinter. These should function with alchemy, as many technological things do in Tevat. My personal theory is that Mitya is an alchemist affiliated with Snezhnaya's government, or in other words, the Fatui, and his main responsibility is maintaining these Kresnik torches. Government-affiliated employees do tend to receive special clearance to continue working with things banned for the public after all. The human alchemist mentioned during Pulcinella's section of the video, Axinia, may even be Mitya's ancestor. She was described to have silver hair, similar to Mitya's, and if she was a close friend of the Tsaritsas in the past, then perhaps her lineage continued working within the Fatui as alchemists. Recently, Oyofir published an audio drama on the story of Reed Miller Solovey and their dealings with the evil alchemist known as Rotwang, the very same noble in the Tsar's court whose plot to use the power of the Abyss led to the death of the former Cryo-Archon 500 years ago. While we shouldn't take Oyofir content to be canon, I did find it interesting that Rotwang was drawn to wear the same exact robes that Mitya does. The series was undoubtedly in development for quite some time. It had to have been in the works for longer than we've had Mitya's design publicly for. It does make me wonder if the art team was given Mitya's clothing as a reference for what an alchemist affiliated with Snezhnaya's government would wear. Last but not least, we have the Tsaritsa. Now, I know what's on everyone's minds. That information they just casually dropped in the trailer about Conrians descending from her? Her son with who is presumably the third descender, starry-eyed like most of the Conrians we know? There is just way too much to dissect when it comes to her character, so I will keep this section really brief. If you guys want a follow-up video about my thoughts on the Tsaritsa, feel free to leave a comment below. What I can say in the context of this video is that she is our playable snezhnaya FAE, and most likely the same snezhnaya princess mentioned in Hymns of the Far North and the superconduct artifact set Disenchantment in Deep Shadow. In many Slavic cultures, snezhnaya is said to be the granddaughter of dead mortals, the personification of winter, and an equivalent to Santa Claus. The Tsar in Genshin is also the personification of winter, and this connection is what led many people to speculate that the Tsar is the Tsaritsa's father, Pakai Suko, in Hymns of the Far North. Is this true? Well, 7.0 is just around the corner, so we'll have to find out soon enough. For now, this is what our playable FAE factions are shaping up to be. If you guys have enjoyed this video, feel free to let me know below. We'll be playing the Archon Quest and polling for Odette next week on my Twitch @WindflowerLeah, so feel free to come hang out and chat. See you soon, and let the wind lead.